Radio.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Svelte Radio. As you probably know, we are back after the summer. This is the second episode. I'm joined by my co-hosts as always, Antony, Brittney. Hello.
Hi.
Hey. Hopefully this week's recording will go a bit better and we don't have to record over 2 days. Varying audio issues and all sorts of fun stuff. So today we have the first guest of the season, I guess we could say. We're joined by Jason Bradnick. Hi, Jason.
Hello.
Hey. So you are famous, I guess you could say, in the Svelte community for building something called Wolfensvelte, right? And we're gonna talk a bit more about that. But before we get into it, maybe we can just hear a bit about you. How did you find Svelte? What's your background?
So for your first question, I found Svelte not trying to throw shade, but because of Vue 2. So back in the day, I was first starting out trying to figure out how to build stuff on the web, and Vue 2 didn't jive with me, and then I found Svelte. And considering I didn't even know JavaScript at that point, it just kind of clicked. So that's kind of how I found Svelte and just kind of fell in love with it ever since. And for my background, I am a self-taught developer. I've done everything from game dev all the way to desktop applications. I've been doing this kind of, I think, 10 years now. And that would mean I started at about 11. So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. So you're pretty young
crazy.
then.
Yeah, I am going to be turning 22 this upcoming February.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. With regards to the projects that you've already built, I am already super impressed because I could not build those. And I've
Probably have a
doing
bright
this for a while.
future ahead of you.
Yes, it does sound like that.
Well, I mean, hey, thank you.
Yeah, so your projects are really cool. So let's start a bit with the Svelte language server that you've been working on. So a couple of episodes ago, we had Paolo and Antony on from SvelteLabs, so that's the kind of unofficial REPL for SvelteKit at this point, I guess, and it makes it easy basically to just try out SvelteKit because the regular Svelte REPL doesn't support SvelteKit yet, I guess.
Yeah.
We'll see if it gets SvelteKit support. But yeah, so tell us what is this Svelte language server stuff that you've been working on? What does it give us? What are the features that users can expect from something like this?
So essentially, if you were to take your everyday experience of using the Svelte language server, whether it's through the VS Code extension or one of the community-made language clients, you get the same exact experience. You get cross-file, semantic IntelliSense. You get essentially everything is the best way to describe it. So you get hover tooltips better than the ones that are currently on learn.svelte, and then better than the ones that are currently on SvelteLab. So
that doesn't sound nice at all. I hate features. No, I'm just kidding. No, that sounds great. That's one of those things that you're kind of missing it in the REPL all the time. Where's the autocomplete? Where's the et cetera, right? And just bringing that extra stuff into the browser makes the experience so much better. So I assume the Svelte language server is maybe not something that would work out of the box on the web, right?
Nope.
No. So you kind of need, I guess you need Node. Yeah.
I guess you could say you need it, but
maybe you don't.
That's something that would work with web containers?
It's something that could work with web containers, but it would just kind of, at least my understanding of it, it would be kind of building on the wrong foundation. So you could get it to work, but should you get it to work? That's another question on its own.
So It's hard to run in the browser.
Yeah.
Or impossible.
The route I took, honestly, it's probably more of a sturdier foundation because I essentially just emulate Node in a way. So you got everything from full file system, you got process, you got basically everything you would want. Chakadar, I think that's how it's pronounced. That works for file watching. You got file descriptor emulation, you got everything. So it's all covered.
So it sounds like you've had to, I guess, made shims for a lot of these features that don't exist in on the web platform. How hard was it?
So it wasn't too hard. It was just kind of really complicated to figure out because the main thing was, how do I get TypeScript to say, hey, this is a node system? How do I get post CSS to run? How do I get all of the preprocessors and Svelte preprocess to work? And then on top of that, you have to incorporate a whole bunch of surrounding infrastructure to the point where it's just kind of like too much to be considered sane to go about doing it, I would say. But it's definitely a task. So,
yeah.
So how did you figure out what to do in terms of, I need to shim like the file system? How did you figure it out?
So to be completely transparent, it wasn't me who initially figured it out. I kind of built on top of, I can't remember the name. Let me Google it. VS Code Web. So the guy, I don't have his name, but he's, I think, a contributor to Svelte, and he did an initial Monaco editor implementation, and then he did a VS Code web implementation. However, it was okay, but there were several things that I spotted that could be improved, where in the original version that I based mine on, they just didn't work. So I just kind of took bits and pieces from what he did and kind of incorporated it into something that is kind of more all-encompassing, I would say.
Right.
That makes sense. And we'll figure out a link or something to this person, and we'll put them.
Yeah, when we find it, we'll find out who it is.
Yeah.
Hey, I actually just found it.
Oh, there you go.
I'll send it to Kev on Discord.
Cool.
Yep. I do not recognize this name, but we shall put it in anyway.
Stick in the show notes.
Yeah. So, and any other things that you, when you built this thing or when you worked on it, that stood out as difficult or easy, or like something that you think might make sense to mention?
So one of the complicated things was trying to essentially inject all of my patches, all of my shims, all of that into all of the dependencies, and then get it to actually work properly. So based on the original code that I kind of stemmed mine off of, it wasn't fully there, but getting it to a point to where it was working and it actually worked pretty well, I would say took like a month and a half, maybe.
Wow.
That's not too long. That's, it depends on how many hours you. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going at it like nonstop, that's a very long time.
Fair enough. Yeah.
At least 4 hours a day.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Yeah. Cool. So I guess maybe we can talk a bit about one of your other projects, and everyone so before we move on, sorry, is the Svelte language server in the SvelteLab's experience yet, or is it?
It's coming up. It's a work in progress. I have a draft PR open, and I think there is a deploy preview live, but that current build that's up isn't fully properly working. I'm still trying to figure out what's going wrong, but I've definitely made progress since then. So I would say within the next week, maybe 2 weeks, I probably would have it ready for them to review.
Oh, that's awesome. So stuff to look forward to in the SvelteLab's REPL then. Maybe even, I wonder if this could also be kind of backported into the Svelte language server. So this is like the way that you would use the language server, like have it web first, and then it could work anywhere. I don't know. I don't know anything about the language server. Maybe it might make sense to reach out to Simon Doom to talk about that. I think he might be interested in chatting about it at least.
He is Captain Language Server.
Yeah. All right. So next up, unless you, Antony, Brittney, do you have any questions that you?
No, this is honestly over my head. This kind of stuff, I have
same.
like great admiration for those who understand it, because for me it's like, you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a bit about the more visual stuff that you've done. The hackathon winning submission, Wolfensvelte. So I guess I'll let you explain what it is.
Okay, so my summary of what it is it's a Svelte port of Wolfenstein 3D. It's kind of half guesswork and half, okay, this is how it's supposed to be in the original game. And it works. That's kind of like the big picture there, so.
When you say it's guesswork, which bits are guesswork in your mind?
A lot of it. So there's the enemy AI, that's kind of guesswork, kind of based off the original. There's actually quite a lot. So it's not true to the original, but it's good enough to a point to where if I wanted it to be true to the original, I could definitely get it there. So
what inspired you to clone a game which, to be fair, predates you by about 15 years?
I honestly have always been like a fan of id Software, of course, Doom 2, then you got Wolfenstein, of course, but also I'm like a big Quake guy, and I was playing a lot of Quake 3 Arena around the time I decided to enter the hackathon. So nice. That just kind of had me in the mindset of, okay, let's just do this.
So that's interesting. Did the hackathon make you actually start doing it, or was that like the thing that got you to start working on it? That's good to know.
Honestly, I never even thought about it before the hackathon, and by the time I decided, okay, hey, let's just enter and see what happens, it was already, I think, March 3rd. So I built the initial implementation in a little over a month, I would say.
Wow. Yeah. So in terms of the 3D engine, because obviously the Wolfenstein 3D engine is not really a 3D engine, it predates I think John Carmichael or whoever wrote the first true 3D engine for Quake, I think Quake 1. So it uses this weird kind of, it's almost, I remember talking about it, like you see the walls splay outwards as you walk towards them because it's not really 3D and you can't look up and down. So is that something you've implemented from scratch and gone, I'm going to replicate this behavior, or is it an off-the-shelf engine, which I can't imagine exists, because why would it exist when the Quake engine exists? But how did that come about?
My implementation, it's not at all. If you had a 10-foot pole and you were trying to touch my implementation, you wouldn't reach it. It's that far off from the original because this doesn't use like ray casting. It doesn't use any of the like techniques that the original would have.
Z buffers.
Mine actually, like all of that. No, this just is simple. It's just, okay, we have a grid. Okay, let's just put a whole bunch of walls up and then good to go. So it's like, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how I see the Wolfenstein engine anyway, really, to be fair. But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it's all. So one would think that this uses something like Canvas and 3D rendering kind of things, but from what I understand, it's just CSS and HTML. Is that correct, or?
Yeah, if you were to load up E1M1 and open up DevTools, you could go down a few element layers past the scene and all of that, and then you would just see a whole bunch of like divs popping in and out, and just a whole lot of style tag abuse. So
yeah.
So just out of interest, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's incredible that it's actually fluid doing that.
Yeah,
because you would think
absolutely.
like with the DOM limitations, you would run into issues.
Yeah,
there's definitely like a lot of issues surrounding that. So if you have too many divs, of course, then everything gets slow. When you add on all of the RNG and all of the actual like game on top of it, it got to a point to where it would crash my browser, but I managed to optimize it enough to where you could play it on like your iPhone. So it's kind of exercise in optimization, I would say.
just use the shadow DOM. No, I'm joking. So I have a question then, and this because I did a 3D module in university, and it was quite taxing for me at the time. I found it pretty difficult, but I learned a fair bit from it. Do you use any matrix transforms in that 3D engine, or is it purely kind of manual?
That's actually a good question. So originally I was going to use like actual matrix and all of that, but then I just decided, okay, screw it. Let's just, take a translate 3D, a rotate, and that's essentially the core of like what actually makes it work. So it's pretty simple if you think about it compared to what you would expect.
Yeah, I suppose translate and transform in CSS is doing those transforms for you. I suppose it just saves you writing them yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
CSS has come so far. We have so many things that we didn't used to have.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is all open source as well, right? You can go check out the source code for this, and it's surprisingly not that many components in there from what I saw. It's pretty cool. You can do a lot with very little code sometimes. This is one of those examples.
It's only about just over 6,000 lines total, I think. So,
yeah,
that's insane. That's the way I like it, though. Automate as much as you can. Like, just create some basic components and just do what you need with them.
There's also, I remember this, maybe you've worked on this a bit more, but there was also like an editor where you could make maps, I guess.
Yeah, that I scrapped it, but it's kind of one of those nice things to where like if I were to do multiplayer, which I'm kind of debating on, it would be nice to have that to kind of have your own maps that you play with your friends. But yeah, the editor, that was kind of a bad idea.
I mean, maybe if you had more time and more to just work on Wolfensvelte, maybe it would have been a good idea. And if you were making lots and lots of maps, but maybe it's easier to just define it. How do you actually define the map at the moment? Is it hard-coded or what's the thing there?
Okay, so I'm trying to debate on that. I would say it's technically hard-coded because now what it's doing is it's reading the original like game files and building the maps off that. But for the original hackathon entry, I opened up Tiled, the map editor, and I just made the maps by hand, which was really tedious.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's sounds like a lot of work.
It took, I think, about 2 days to make E1M1, so...
Yeah. And that's the first map of Wolfenstein 3D, is it? Or because I don't remember from Wolfenstein what the thing looked like even, so...
Yeah, the first level in Wolfensvelte, that's E1M1, which is also the first level of Wolfenstein.
So we'll put a link to this map so listeners can go and play around with it.
Yeah, I think the general way people have emulated game engines before is just taken a bin file from the game itself and then written a parser for it and read it out and displayed it. But I think going from scratch is certainly what do you call it? Like it's a twist, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the next thing to build in JavaScript in Svelte is Theme Hospital. I think that would be a great candidate for it. See what I'm thinking now. Because someone's done it. Someone's done it in like C or something. They've made a free engine, and you get the game file and stick it in there. But no one's done it on the web.
That's actually surprising with how big that game is.
Right.
Theme Hospital. I remember I used to play that a bit. I don't know if it is that great though.
I never played
Come
it.
on.
I actually can't even remember what you're talking about. I might have to Google it.
When Jason finishes it, you can play
it.
I mean, is that a suggestion or is that a challenge? Because
ooh, which is more likely to incite you into doing it?
I would say make it a challenge.
Okay, then it's a challenge.
Then it's a challenge.
I never played this.
It feels like a lot of work, though.
Awesome.
Consider it done.
This is what I need my employees to be like.
It's like more components. You're going to need more components.
You can have like a doctor component.
Nope. Just 3. Just thing 1, and then wall, floor, and then that's it.
That's it.
And then you need like a Boolean, like has it got inflatey head syndrome, whatever it's called, that they get and stuff.
You're just going to pass different colors and stuff into them, make them look different.
Yeah, and then
that would make
banana
sense.
skins, all the banana skins, they need to be components all over the place.
Yeah, so Brittney, Theme Hospital is basically like think of it like The Sims, but you're running a hospital, kind of.
Okay.
That's the gist of it, and it's a really old game.
It is, but it looks kind of neat. And the thing about it is all these characters, like you hire doctors and staff and stuff, and they have all these characteristics, and they just make me laugh because it's like, oh, he's very meticulous, he's very good at what he does, but he's lazy and he smells. And it's like, okay, we'll take him.
Oh, jeez, we'll take him anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty fun game.
He's cheap as well, right? So.
Oh, jeez.
All right, let's move on to you've got a third project. I don't know how you have time for this, but apparently you do. So this animation library that you've been working on, what was that? Is the animations in Svelte not enough for you?
Oh, definitely not. Once Svelte adds motion path and like actual backwards compatible motion path, then I would consider it enough. But yeah, the animation library, it's essentially me getting frustrated with using GSAP at work and just saying, okay, I can make this better and smaller. And that's kind of like the thing that drove me to spend so much time on it, but it's actually coming together.
Yeah, cool. So GSAP is probably the most well-known animation library for the web, I guess.
Yeah,
there's also some other options like is it motion.dev? Is that? Yeah. So what's it like working with something that builds animations for people, or rather lets users build animations? I guess it's also complicated.
It's complicated, but the good thing is with the web animations API, which is what mine's based on, just like motion dev, it's easy up until you get to the part of like actually doing motion path. That's definitely where it gets tricky, and then also doing like custom easing functions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a lot of effort for something that I could just download a library for.
Right. Yeah. This is one of those like moments when because I don't know much about animations and stuff. It would be great to like have someone like actually knows what to ask you about animations, because I don't know. Brittney, Antony, do you know any stuff about animations?
I mean, not over like the Svelte stuff really. Like I've just done some basic animation stuff, nothing like more complex, which is probably why I haven't needed to reach for. I mean, I've used GSAP before, especially for like the scrolling effects that you need to like move things with scroll, like SVG scrolls. But I barely even reach for libraries to do stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's kind of a big draw for Svelte for me is that it's kind of built in the stuff I would use on a day-to-day basis. Because I just end up getting quite overwhelmed by like animation libraries. I think GSAP is a good example. I guess two things. One is it's you need to really learn it. Like it's a whole new kind of skill. And I think the other thing with it is when I last used it, at least it was probably about 5-6 times the size of my app, because it's it wasn't tree shakeable. It was just all in one. Like bang, here's all of GreenSock. Go for it.
Yeah, it's.
I think it's like 30 kilobytes.
Yeah, it's definitely reduced in size, but at that point then, because I was thinking it's just a bit too heavy for a bit of flash, bit of flair.
But that flair often, I find that like small details often brings you a lot of like joy.
It does, but it sparks joy. But it does, but that is kind of the draw of Svelte, right? It's just kind of there and it's already in, and you just stick it in and you've got the flair. I think for one animation or for one thing, it's really cool to have like GSAP there, but you'd have to use for multiple things to really get the benefit from sticking that whole library in.
Right. Yeah. So what's the API like? How are you designing the API? How does one use Nanomate once it's production? Well, maybe not production ready, but ready for someone to consume.
It's probably going to be a little bit before it gets to like a point to where I would consider it usable. But currently the way it works is just like if you were to do element.animate, the keyframe syntax, it's the same. So you can have a single object with array properties and have your keyframes in there, or you can just have an array of a bunch of keyframes. Except with this, it's fully typed for one, and also you can do like shorthand for scaling, rotating, stuff like that. And it will use the more well-supported, I would say, regular translate or transform properties rather than doing the standalone styles.
Yep. Oh, that makes sense. Have you looked at Svelte by any chance?
I have a little bit, but I'm not too familiar. Would you be able to like go into some of the things it has?
Yeah, so Svelte is basically a wrapper around D3. So it's not an animation library, I guess, but it's more of like it's just like I like the Svelte kind of API. The way of using Svelte is really nice, and I thought maybe you could look at it for inspiration for like the end developer experience, basically. But yeah,
that's definitely something to take into consideration, because I remember at Svelte Summit there was kind of that whole hype about Svelte, and that kind of got my eyes first on them. And I've seen a little bit of the syntax, and honestly, I think it looks very clean, very maintainable, and kind of just what you see is what you get. So
yeah, well, it's a really nice library. Unfortunately, I haven't played around much with it. It's like all of this stuff. I never play around with the visual kind of libraries. I want to play more with animations and stuff.
It's almost a little niche because you build 3D apps with it. So you need that thing to build that with it. Maybe you could build like a 3D version of Theme Hospital in Svelte.
You probably could, right? They built some games using Svelte, so it's not impossible. Any other things you want to mention about the animation library?
I guess for that, I would say if you want less of a headache than GSAP, but you want something that's probably going to be more broken than using Motion 1, check out my library. It'll make your day.
I think that's a great sell.
Yeah. Hey, it's honest.
Yep. All right. Any other questions for Jason? Or are we going into the spicy section?
I think spicy time, because we do also only have 14 minutes till the announcement of Svelte. where we combine with the Vue project and become.
It's a crazy day.
Yeah, Brittney, you're also interviewing Thomas in a couple of hours as well, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Thomas is one of the people behind the Melt UI library, if you don't already know.
And we're just talking about how he's been converting all of these packages over to Svelte, which has been pretty impressive.
So,
pretty cool.
So our takes will have to be short and spicy takes, let's say.
Okay. So then I think you should go first.
Okay. My short and spicy take is... Oh, crap, I've forgotten it. That's not good, is it?
It's very short.
No, it's way too short, isn't it? I had it before as well. It's gone. Oh, it's gone.
That's hilarious.
I don't know what it is.
Okay. No spicy take.
No, I'll come back to it.
Yeah. I'm going to pass because I don't have a spicy take today.
Well, that's quick.
Brittney, Jason, do you have one?
Honestly, I would say if you want to use CommonJS, go for it, but please don't work with me. I'm good on that.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I love it so much. That is part of the pain, right? Like the CJS, ESM nonsense that happens. And I was going to say something about Node, and I don't want to add to the hate in the Node ecosystem right now, but I don't know if y'all remember, I had those prettier issues that day. And like it's been removing random things and doing random stuff, and it's been conflicting with our config at work. I thought it was the extension. Like I started with kind of the thing I thought that was the most obvious, like the extension is messing with it. Dove into that. Nope. You know what it was? My node module cache. Oh. So I had to remove my node modules and reinstall, and it fixed everything. I went from having 877 files it wanted to format to 0.
Wow.
I was an angry bear. So, I mean, I don't even know what my unpopular opinion is there. I don't want to add to the node hate, but it's really frustrating to get like stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah,
in this ecosystem.
I guess my controversial opinion, because I can't think of my original one, would be something along the lines of it's okay to like different things. People can use whatever framework they like, or they can use React, or they can use Vue or Svelte. Doesn't matter. It's all the same. What I would say is that this doesn't apply when it comes to, for example, a standard, because standards that differ make things really, really hard to interoperate with each other. So have different preferences and do what you like, but try to agree on a single communication mechanism or method, or a single way of importing files. Like I like that Bun's gone ahead with the whole dual thing, but no, just pick one. It's probably better. Have you got the same cup as me, Brittney?
Yeah. Is it the syntax one?
Oh no, this one's got my name on it. Ah, there it is.
Oh, syntax sent me this one, but it is the same cup, I think.
It is, yeah. It's a very similar cup. Yeah, it's a Yeti.
Nice cup. Yeah.
Merch.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I have the skate deck like out of view too. It's really nice.
I have. Oh no.
Do you skate often?
Crazy. It's huge. I don't skate. It has no wheels on it. I'm just using it as like decoration back here.
That's cool.
Did they already invent the hoverboard with the LK99 thing?
I think those exist, but they're absurdly expensive.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. We should go into picks then. In that case.
Yes. Yeah. Do you guys? Who wants to go first?
I have a pick if it's easy.
Go for it.
Yeah. So my pick is basically. I forgot this one as well. How could I forget that one? This is not good. This is not going well. There's too much pressure.
All right, I'll go.
Go.
So I think I picked this a couple of episodes ago. I might have, but I'm going to pick it again because now I've actually played it. So I'm going to pick Sea of Stars. If you like old style JRPGs like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, this is a new game by an indie company. That's really fun. Nice. I've been enjoying it a lot. That's my pick.
Very cool.
My pick's come back now, if it's okay for me to interject. Yeah, so my pick is basically around, because I got the solar system installed. This is why it slipped my mind, because I was thinking about it so much and it's gone now. So yeah, I got this solar system installed where I've got solar panels on the roof and battery and all that kind of stuff. And I found out the other day that they also, the same power company, give you a cheap rate during the night to charge your EV, whatever. But you can also charge your home battery with it. And so now, because the weather in England is turning because winter's coming, I can't quite generate enough with my small system to power us every day. So what I do is I use the cheap rate from the power company to charge my battery, and it costs like 7.5p a kilowatt or whatever, rather than 34.5p a kilowatt in the day. So I end up running off the battery half the day, use the solar when it's available for the rest of the day, and effectively covering my entire power usage with the cheapest rate. But even better, they allow you to have both tariffs at once. So I'm actually selling any spare electricity back to them. I'm selling their own electricity that they charge me 7.5p for back to them for 15p a kilowatt, and my free stuff off the roof is any of that spare. So I'm making money. This is not how power should work. Hacking the system. So
no, but
it's great.
I think that is how power should work.
It is, and actually what I learned about the way Octopus work is that sometimes they have a thing called an agile tariff, which are basically every half hour the price changes, and they notify your phone saying it's going to like £2 a unit next hour because it's really a premium, so don't do any washing or whatever. Sometimes they'll say it's free, and sometimes they'll pay you to use it, which is bizarre. And the reason they pay you is because the grid can only take so much power.
Yeah.
So basically they've got too much power and they need you to use it. So they're willing to pay you to use the power, which is great.
Yeah. I love energy grids. Like I've nerded it down on this so much. The fact that the energy grid has to have this particular frequency, if it goes up or down, it just like either you get brownouts or you blackouts or you get like fried electric appliances everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of amazing that it works.
Because it's that carries the power across the grid, right?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, power's fascinating. The more you learn about it, and you can just keep learning more and more and more.
Yeah.
I was watching one of those, that YouTube guy, I can't remember his name is. He does loads of videos on like why things are the way they are, why refrigerators work, and all that kind of stuff. Wish I remember his name though.
Veritasium?
No, it's a guy. He's very comical and well spoken.
Is it like tech ingredients or something? Tech connections?
It's got a weird name like that, and I can't remember it. I'll put it in the show notes anyway when we find out. But it's fascinating to watch.
All right, cool. All right, Brittney, Jason, do you have any?
You can go ahead, Jason, if you have one.
Are you still thinking of one?
Sort of.
All right, I got you. I guess my pick would be Lenovo ThinkPads, because even though the one I bought back in June kind of died, I got this one for a pretty good deal. So hopefully this one lasts longer than 2 months.
Yeah.
Hopefully that lasts longer.
Otherwise, we might have to go back and remove the pick.
Yeah.
I had a fallback one. I don't know. Like, all I do in my free time is we watch a couple of TV shows at night, and we've been watching the morning show right now, which is pretty good. But last week I picked Silo, and I finished that book I was talking about. And the book, I could not put the end of it down. It was just like so good to read. So if you liked Silo, if you went and watched Silo, I think Wool is the name of the book, the first book in the series, and it is really good.
I do want to read it, but I don't. I don't want to ruin the future shows
for me.
Yeah,
it's spoiled forever, but it was so good. You will never believe what happened.
Oh, stop. I'm going to have to read it then. Damn it.
There we go. A little peer pressure.
Yeah, that's all you need. External motivation is what I call it. All right. So I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Jason. It was a pleasure having you. Hope you had a good time joining us as well.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Anytime. Super interesting projects, and everyone should definitely go check them out. Where can people find you? Are you on Twitter?
Actually, by your own suggestion, I'm on Twitter. And then there's also, of course, GitHub. And I guess my Discord, if you're really that inclined. It's the same thing as like my Twitter and my GitHub. So I guess you could hit me up on there. Send me pictures of your cats if you have them.
All right, cool.
And it's at Snuffy Dev
on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll put these in the show notes, and hopefully you'll get a lot of cat pictures. So
looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Yeah, which will be Theme Hospital. We'll see you in massively multiplayer online Theme Hospital.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Wow.
don't forget the microtransactions.
Oh, yeah, gonna have that too.
We have microtransactions.
And with that said, thank you for everyone joining us online and listening, and we shall see you all next week. Bye.
Hey, it's Kevir. If you like the show, please drop a review on your favorite podcast player. It would help out a lot. Thanks.